another battle for gold against Hammer Shoal today at 5:30 during the Tiger Tip-Off tournament. And lastly, I want to remind everyone that there is a Series 5 buyout to watch our seniors open their portion of the tournament today at 2:30 in our large gym. Teachers are asked to please let anyone who has tickets go to watch that game. And here is CCM Victor.
Good morning, Tigers.
Because to help you guys see, because I can't get that stupid document finder thing to work. So.
A little bit. Boys basketball players. If you went to buy a tournament pass for the weekend, each we bought 5 large tickets. Remember, I was getting across the boys basketball players in the weekend tournament pass for the weekend. Fire tickets were also sold. In the meanwhile, Christmas farmers market always hot sauces, crafts, and amazing Christmas treats. If you come early, you may get to taste a range of hand shrimp butters. Even houses at Westgate culinary students. Will be even a chance to win a cake. And look for the Christmas Farmers Market Tuesday and Wednesday next week. We'll be in the main hall. Happy holidays. And there will be a bake sale concession at lunch and after school today. Come and support your grad. Please support your grad. Anyway, Westgate, guess what? Westgate will be hosting a power hour every Tuesday and Thursday from now until the Christmas holidays. During the lunch, Thursdays at lunch, the library will be available to students doing homework with questions and teacher support being provided. Anyways, that's me. This is Cameron, and I'm signing up. Oh, it's not Cameron actually.
Hi, the next 16 days are the No Violence Against Women. So we have a couple of quick facts about violence against women. 67% of Canadians have known a woman who has experienced physical or sexual abuse. 66% of female victims of sexual assault are under the age of 24. 60% of women with disability experience some form of violence, and every 6 days in Canada, a woman is killed by her intimate partner. And 10% of all sexual assaults are reported to the police.
Okay, thank you. Attention STEMI people. Please allow me to notify the board about any sanitary issues are board by lunch. A quick reminder that we are fully engaged in a period for Room Challenge. We are collecting toiletries to support Edenman's Women's Crisis Home and Family Healing Center. Please use violence perpetrated against somebody based on their gender. Finally, day 1 of the 40th annual Play It Again Sports Tiger Tip-Off Boys Basketball Tournament is done, and day 2 is now underway in the large gym. Your own Westgate Junior Tigers.
Look at how lagging it is.
Check the schedule in the front hall for the full slate of game times and scores. Also, today, your senior Tigers will open jersey play. You got a lot of Tigers ribbons at $2.30. $2 buyout tickets will be sold in the main hall at lunch. These will allow you to be students from the Period 5 class to watch the game. Action in the senior division will continue into Saturday until a champion is crowned at 5 o'clock p.m. There will be a special ceremony before the game day recognizing the 40th anniversary of the tournament. You will also have the opportunity to show your Tiger pride by participating in the Sal's Restaurant celebration of the game. Contest for wonderful prizes. And be a part of the tradition that is Tiger Tip-Off, Tiger tickets, or tournament passes, and cheer your Tiger sauce. Tigers.
I locked the door anyway. Like, funny to get you. No, this is one of our dissectors.
So, Cooper, you want to do one right? Oh, we have mine. I'm sure there's 4. Yes. You don't want, I thought I'd be one. Well, Caitlin wants to be a leader in one of them. No, not that Caitlin.
So we can partner your, we can group you guys all up.
Hey, and I forgot, if you lost a pair of red, white, and black gloves, like mittens, but, you know, like with fingers, then come down to the office and get them.
Also, grab yourself. Oh, yeah, I think that's a long I in the room next door, I hooked up a pair of towels for the shop back. For my essential snacks stuff.
I knew it.
Yeah, whatever. Just say whatever.
A group of 5, and then 3 people can go with Mr. Duranto and I at the front. Okay, let's put our phones on.
We don't need a soundtrack. Is that yours? Yeah, it's like.
I see a few people turning green already. This is. Caitlin wants 4 people go with Caitlin, 4 can go with Cooper.
Yes.
We need one other person to. Well, we have 4, right?
It looks like.
So.
Oh, we got more than that. Did we? Yeah, we've got, so. Discuss that, but we actual cow hearts, like actual.
So how many do we have?
So we got. It looks like we got about 4 veal hearts in here, and then we got 1, 2, 3 cow hearts.
Oh,
so we can do. Let's do groups of.
We got 23.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 7 hearts now.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It's delayed though.
Yeah, no, it's just like I think the one person watching.
Oh, it's that one.
Oh, yeah. 2, 3. Well, these are good. They're already kind of.
How many we have?
So what we can do is we can cut open a big one. Everybody can see that, and then everybody can grab a small one.
I might have to grab more trays. What's that? What's the difference?
Anybody else want to? How many got the big ones? 3.
And find that out.
Yeah, 3.
Okay, so how about you do one and then Cooper? And
yeah, we'll get 3 groups going on the big heart.
So what we can do to start is.
Can I get? If you could bring that up, I'll throw it in.
We have another. Caitlin, Cooper, you're gonna want to grab it.
Caitlin, you want to grab a bib and then I'll give you a tray. I go see if there's a bigger.
They cut them open for us
I
actually.
really don't know what size.
They don't really need much. Which is good.
I know what. Like, you know.
So-
You even know.
We want to have, we got Caitlin there and people over here and just two groups around and someone around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can,
Sorry? You sit here and watch me, yeah?
we gotta put it on the right.
You might be a little bit in the splatter zone, though. You remember, SeaWorld where the whale goes in, there's like a splash zone. This is splatter. Splatter.
Oh God.
Oh, I didn't grab the knives. I gotta grab that.
Oh, I got knives.
You got it?
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna need them. They already got cut,
Okay.
and we'll just explain why they did that. But what are you doing right now? There you go. Yes. There you go. Got it? Perfect. Oh my. I gotta get to these.
Okay, so I advise some of you. Straight out of the horror movie.
A little bit, eh? We've got two hearts. We've got one over there. Okay, so if you can kind of grab both sides, just kind of stick it together.
So you guys, if you're sitting back there, get off your phone
Here, which is actually cut completely in half. We'll put both halves together. Put one on top of the other there. Ish. Kind of rotate it a little bit this way. Yeah, a little bit more, a little bit more. Right about there. Beautiful. Okay, good stuff. Okay, and if you want to come up right here. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. So very quickly, guys. So you guys have been learning about the cardiovascular system, yes?
Yes.
Very good. About the heart and the lungs and all that type of stuff. Okay. So we actually have, and if you look at if Mr. Krawchuk, our little buddy here, we have the two sets of lungs. So the right and the left side. Okay. No, we all right. You get your work up today. Okay. So we're gonna be looking at the heart today. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the lungs. I was hoping for some pig lungs, what's called a lung pluck, which means that the heart is still attached to the lungs. But the problem was the person that brought the pigs in for slaughter wanted the hearts, so they were gonna make something out of it. I think sausages or something. Anyway, it's a German thing.
Next time you
so anywho, they wanted the hearts, so unfortunately we couldn't get the hearts and the lungs, and then they had some cow hearts, which is what we're dealing with today. So that's we didn't get lungs, which is pretty unfortunate because the lungs are fun because you can blow them up and you can actually they swell and it's pretty cool. Anywho, so as you can see right here, guys, you can see where the heart is situated in the chest. Okay, it's very it's right underneath, pretty much right underneath your what's this bone right here, guys? What's this bone right here? Right here. All your ribs attached to it. It is your sternum. Very good. Okay, so your heart is situated right underneath your sternum. Okay, a little bit to the left-hand side of your body. Notice how the lungs kind of wrap around the heart. Okay, so it's very efficient because we have the ability for oxygen, which comes into your lungs. Okay, we have close proximity to your heart, which is your pump, which pumps the oxygenated blood. Okay, so it's very efficient with the way it's situated here. Okay, so that's what it would look like in your body. Notice the size of the heart. Okay, that is anatomically correct compared to the behemoths that we have in front of us. Okay, so that would be somewhat similar to, and this is a baby cow. It's all right. This is a veal cow. So this would be somewhat similar to that size, maybe a little bit bigger. Okay, but if we had pig hearts, it'd have been perfect. Okay, that's kind of the size of our hearts right now. Okay, and you guys will be able to play around with those for a little bit. So, and you can notice how all of and you see the intercostal muscles, which it would come down to the side here, and it would wrap around here. So pretty much everything from this point up is protected by bones. Okay, so it's like it's a cage, right? So we want to make sure that we keep everything that's pretty important to us: lungs, heart, liver, all that kind of stuff, well protected, so that if we do, hey, focus, guys. Okay, all it up is going to be protected by our rib cage, which is definitely one of our adaptations as whatever, humans, animals, whatever you want to call us. Okay, so with the lungs, and we'll quickly touch on the lungs because it's kind of unfortunate that we didn't get them, but liver and onions or any of that kind of stuff. Have you ever seen a liver? Haggis, that's the intestines, but there's liver in it. But so it's kind of all the insides. If you think about lungs, everybody thinks lungs are like a big, like too big. Okay, but when you handle a lung, if you've ever handled a jellyfish before, okay, it's very gelatinous. It's kind of heavy. They're thick. They're not balloons at all. Okay, so like, and have you gone into the lungs and alveoli? Okay, well anyway, it's all good though. When the lungs and doing that type of stuff, you'll notice that you have your bronchioles that go into your alveoli, where that's where the diffusion is happening and all that good stuff, right? So, but if you think about the lungs, it's more like a sponge as compared to a balloon, an open area. Okay, a big wet sponge, basically. Let's put it that way. Okay, so and they're in the body. Okay, so that's very important to understand the situation and how efficient the body has become when it comes to our lungs and our hearts. Okay, now if you think about athletes, okay, if you think about elite athletes, so and basketball players a little bit different, football players a little bit different because they're a lot bigger body size and that type of stuff. But if we think about cross country. Okay, how many people cross-country ski? Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody should cross-country ski. This cross-country ski team will be getting started in January. But the Canadian champion cross-country skier, okay, is the same height and weight. What's the difference? Okay, she skis a lot. So what does that mean, though? So what are the physiological effects of that training? Negative.
Well, what's said in the textbook?
That makes it right then.
It does.
You think everything on the interwebs is right? Is right? The heart is gonna get what? It's not gonna. Unless you're on the roids, your heart's not gonna increase in size. It does it, and it kind of gets. I don't want to say stronger. I want to say efficient. Okay, and it becomes efficient because of what? What kind of blood cells carry oxygen? White. Yeah, you had a 50-50 shot. Okay, so we have I heard over here, red. Okay, so red blood cells carry oxygen. Okay, so what happens? What's the difference between our cross-country champion and Abby right now when it comes to red blood cells? Think about it. Higher production, yes. Higher volume of red blood cells. Okay, so what happens is, right? Heart and all that type of stuff. Yeah, it's working. It might be in better shape, that type of stuff, but her concentration of red blood cells compared to white blood cells and plasma, okay, is going to be a lot higher than what Abby has right now, okay, because of her training. And she also trains at altitude, which means there's less oxygen, which means there needs to be more, et cetera, et cetera. when she comes back down to sea level or close to it, okay, all of those red blood cells don't go away right away. Okay, they still stay in her body, and she's able to do what she does, which is pretty outstanding, actually. Okay, and there's a pain threshold, and her muscles are going to be more efficient using oxygen and using ATP, storing glycogen and all that kind of good stuff. But that's basically what happens. We evolve through training, adapt through training. Okay, and it all starts with that thing. Okay, and those when it comes to those types of activities. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so let's talk about the pump. Okay, which is this great thing right here. This is the pump. Okay, now, unfortunately right now, so the reason why, and everybody has a heart in front of them, okay, everybody has, and it's already cut open. Okay, if you look at Cooper's right now, he's got there's a cut right in the bottom. Yeah, point it out, put your finger, be split wide open, why would there be a cut in one? And there's probably one in there as well. What do you guys think? Sort of. Think about food inspection, right? Like these are cows that for consumption. What would the food inspector, who inspects all of these things, what would the food inspector be looking for right now? Yeah, for sure. Okay, looking for heartworms or any types of disease in the heart. If there was disease or worms or any of that kind of stuff in that cow's heart, all of that meat from that cow would be bad. And they wouldn't sell that. They wouldn't be able to sell that because of the rules that we have in place from the government. Okay? So what they did is they cut off the top. Now, if we looked at the top, excuse me, we would have what structures coming out of the top of this heart right now? Okay? So we would have some pretty important vessels. One would be there's that better? What's that? Aorta, outstanding. Okay, the aorta is bringing what kind of blood to the body? Or oxygenated? Oxygenated, very good. Okay, so what else is coming into the top of the heart here? There's a pulmonary vein, exactly, which is outstanding. Next. The superior vena cava is coming in the top end, right? And the inferior vena cava comes into where? Comes in from the bottom, but it does kind of go into the right atrium. Okay? Okay, so we have the superior and inferior vena cavas. We have the pulmonary veins. There's also another one. Well, I heard it. Pulmonary artery, exactly. So what is that? Leaving the lungs and bringing it back to the, what side, left or right? Good job, okay? To the left side of the heart to get pumped to the rest of the body through the aorta. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so hopefully you guys, can you guys see the board better or can you see me better?
Well, bro.
Are we lagging? Oh, nice. Okay, so.
Excuse me, interruption. With the owner of a black Ford F-150 parked in the Wall Street parking lot, license plate AL14096, please move your vehicle. You're blocking. Please move your truck now. Thank you.
Exactly right. Okay, so looking on the outside of the heart right now. Okay, so and everybody, does everybody have gloves? No. Ish. Okay. If anybody wants gloves, if you want to manipulate the heart, grab some gloves.
The heart, you need gloves. You want? Yeah, I'm gonna grab some. I'm gonna grab some more.
Okay.
My house, I want. Anybody else want it? Can I help you know some might as well. Not gonna bite you.
It's already dead. And they're very, very clean, believe it or not. Can I add to that? It's basically like that's just like grabbing a big.
I hate it when we have.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anybody else over here? Girls in the front.
Yes, Abby, conquer your fear. It is literally like if you had to cook a roast. It's in the cooking pan right now.
That is correct.
Why are you selling that?
Okay, so
Hey, no one needs bio ticket?
bio ticket right here.
Oh, you got one right there.
I'll get two.
Big game tonight.
Anybody else want?
I wouldn't be Both of them.
Okay, everybody bought out here? Okay, let's get back to the hearts, guys. Back to the hearts. Okay, so first thing that we're gonna look at on the heart right now is going to be this stuff right here. Okay, what's the white stuff on the outside of the heart? What is that?
Fat, sorry.
There you go. That's fat. Okay, so it's called, believe it or not, cardiac fat, which is pretty fun to say. Okay, but why is there fat on the heart?
Too much cholesterol.
Why is there fat on the heart? This cow didn't work out or what? It will, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, but with this fat, what is fat? Robbie, what is fat? What is it? Fat is stored. Thank you. In the form of glycogen. Very good. Okay, so glucose turns into glycogen. Glycogen gets stored as fat. Okay, so we have stored energy here for the heart. Okay, and that is another adaptation that we have as humans done. We store energy for the most important muscle in the body right on top of the muscle. Fat is good. Cardiac fat is not bad. If we have a lot of cardiac fat, though, we're going to have some issues, correct? Exactly. So if you feel, those with gloves, if you feel the fat, so kind of just give it a pinch, squeeze it a little bit, and just note the pliability. And again, this has been in the freezer, or not the freezer, but in the fridge, so it's cold. So it's going to be a little bit harder than usual. But if you feel the pliability, okay, of the fat, I feel the pliability of the fat. Okay, who's got gloves? There we go. It's not right. It's not very pliable. It's pretty solid. It's hard to it's hard to manipulate. Okay, so what is that going to do? Because that heart needs to expand and contract and expand and contract and that type of stuff, right? So if we have too much cardiac fat, okay, if there's too much of it because the person is obese or whatever it is that's happening to the heart, there's some diseases that store way too much cardiac fat, which affects the ability of the heart to function. Okay, it's not a good thing, but it is okay to have cardiac fat on the heart because it is going to be a readily available supply of ATP or energy to the heart if it needs it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so it's okay to have a little bit of fat in the heart, but not too much. Okay, so that is the cardiac fat. If we look at, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Hey, what happened? Okay, it didn't bother doing it. Okay, so if we look at these right here, what are these? Okay, so we have veins and arteries. Very good. What is the actual name of those veins and arteries? They're on the So cardiac veins and arteries. Outstanding, eh? Look at you. Okay, so we have cardiac veins, we have cardiac arteries. Okay, so when we're talking about heart attacks, what is a heart attack? We have a blockage of one of these veins or arteries. Usually it's the arteries, sorry. Okay, so what's going to happen is if we have a blockage in this artery right here, okay, so if the blockage is pretty high, and usually the blockage happens at where it kind of breaks off here. Usually it's not in the large vessel itself. It's usually in one of the branches right at where it kind of forks off here. So if we had a blockage here, okay, we would have this whole section of the heart not getting nutrients, not getting oxygen, not being able to operate properly. Okay? If we had a blockage down here, same thing would be down here. Okay? That doesn't mean that the rest of the heart can't do what it does, and it will try. Okay? But what's going to happen is that section of the heart's not going to work, which isn't a good thing because you're going to have some issues with getting obviously oxygen and nutrients to the rest of the body for the rest of your functions. Okay, and again, you'll have some pain and that type of stuff in the heart. So that's what a heart attack is. So when they talk about bypass surgery, okay, bypass surgery means that they're inserting stents, okay, little small tubes, and they're inserting those in these vessels. Okay.
Did you hear what he said about anything?
Okay.
What's bypass surgery?
So they're inserting stents into these vessels. Okay, as these vessels are able to allow blood through again. Okay, so that blood is innervating now and getting to the muscle tissue that needs the nutrients as well as the oxygen. Okay, and everybody's heard of possibly like a quadruple bypass surgery and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's this vessel, that's that vessel, and then that's that vessel. So it's quite a bit. Okay, so you're kind of you get a quadruple. You're up the proverbial creek without a paddle because you're lucky to be alive if you had a quadruple bypass surgery. Okay, there were so many vessels that weren't working. Your heart wasn't working at all. Okay, now when it comes to those cardiac veins and those cardiac arteries, okay, we want to make sure that these are the ones that we're really worried about cholesterol. These are the ones that we're worried about blockages, and these are the ones that we're worried about possible an aneurysm where we have a little bubble in the blood, that type of stuff, which is blocking the pump. Does anybody ever want to run a water pump, pumping water out of a lake or a river or any of that kind of stuff? What happens if an air bubble in your pump? What happens when you get air into your system when you're running a water pump? Anybody? It's called an airlock, which stops pumping water. Okay, so that's what will happen too if we get an air bubble into our pump system. Okay, a lot of times it'll stop pumping, which is definitely not a good thing. Okay, so we want to make sure that they're watching for those as well. Okay, any questions about the outside of the heart? Perfect. Okay, and again, it would have been nice if we had the actual attachments on top, but we don't. Hopefully, there's a chance I might be able to get a set of lungs next week, but we'll see. It all depends if the pigs are ready. Okay, so now everybody already has their heart cut open. Okay, so let's open up the heart now. Okay, so notice, okay, and the first thing I want you guys to look at is going to be the muscle tissue. Okay, the muscle tissue. So we have what kinds of tissues in our muscle cells in our body? There's three kinds.
Cardiac.
Skeletal and smooth. Very good. Okay, so skeletal muscle is basically the muscles that make us move. Those smooth muscles are going to be the muscles of our organs and the inside of our chest cavity, that type of stuff. So we would have that, and if we had some vessels like the aorta as well as the vena cava, that's a really good example. It is it's a thicker, it's a different look, and then we have cardiac muscle. So look at the cardiac muscle and compare it to like something like if you had a raw steak or a pork chop or something like that. That's skeletal muscle. If you look at, and there's a good example with this one right here, is right here. There's a nice cut through the skeleton or through the cardiac muscle. Okay, notice how dense it is. Okay, notice how dense it is compared to the striations that you'd see in a pork chop or a T-bone. Okay, so the amount of muscle fibers in a small area is quite a bit more when we're dealing with the heart. Why do you think that is, Scotty? Why do you think that is? True. Like how? Yeah. So think about the heart. Think about how much work it's doing. Okay, we got a strength club going on in the weight room. Okay, so we were doing 95 squats with 95 pounds on our shoulders, and only one guy was able to do it. Everyone that tried is walking around like my grandpa right now in the hallways. That was 95 reps. Okay? How many beats does this do in a day? Exactly. Okay, 100 times that. Okay, at least. Okay, so this is going to beat, okay, a lot during the day. Is it going to take a rest? Does it get to take a breather? Okay, does it stop at night? Hopefully not. Okay, this is continuous for, okay, it's one set with an unlimited amount of reps, okay, that goes on for average 78 to 79 years. Okay, 81, 82 if you're a female. So that's a lot of reps, okay, in one set. We need this many muscle fibers in order to make sure that it's going to be continuously pumping for that long, okay? And the more that we train those muscle fibers to be efficient, okay, the easier it will be, the longer life this will have. Got it? Because this is all you get. Okay, the one in. So just notice the density of the muscle fibers in the actual cardiac muscle here. Okay. Now I don't know. I can't see yours right now. Do you guys got? Are you able to see these things right here? Those the tendon A. Okay. So the right inside. So this would be a ventricle down here. Okay. So I have a ventricle down here. Okay. And then I'd have an atrium up here, which kind of got cut out a little bit. Okay. I've got an atrium. You guys can see. I've got an atrium in here. And then I got a ventricle going down in through this area in here. Okay. A little bit of blood in that one. So when we're looking at the ventricles, okay, you notice that we have some tendinous material here. Okay. And these ones got cut off with the, actually, this one's still attached, which is good. No, that one is. Okay. So this is called the chordae tendineae. Okay. So these are going to be, what's going to happen is, because it's an open area, okay, we need some chordae. Okay. We need some cords that are attaching to the muscle. So when the muscles contract, okay, these muscles contract, okay, it pulls this down and then releases and then expands back up again. Outer walls of the ventricle. Okay, same deal when in the atrium, but not so much in the atrium because it's kind of like a holding pocket for the rest of the blood that goes into the ventricle. Okay, so the ventricles, which is this area right here, this is the pump part. This is where we get that the blood being pushed around to the rest of our bodies right now, and the atriums just kind of bring in the blood, waiting to do the pump part, which gets sent all around the body or to the lungs. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so those cords function as the kind of the pull of the ventricle. Okay, so interventricle septum. Okay, and we cut through that. That would be attached to there. So my interventricle septum would be this big piece of meat right here. Okay, so it would be that big piece of meat. right there, which separates the ventricles. So sometimes, and there's some diseases that happen where we have little minor holes in that septum, okay, which allows deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood to flip-flop and that type of stuff, which doesn't make our hearts efficient, okay? So we have to make sure that that is solid as well, okay? And then we have the, let me see if I can find a valve. And trilunar valves. Might have to dig. Yeah, almost.
Find one, Coop?
You guys, anybody got a valve over there that you can see? Yep, mine all got cut. Cut the atrium right here. What about these guys? There's a good. That's the aorta right there. Was the aorta. You guys got a valve? Do you see a valve back there? And the valves are very important as well because the valves are going to prevent leakage from one area to another, right? You got a valve. Everybody wants to have a look at this valve right here. Okay, so that's a semilunar valve. Okay, and that's going from the atrium, which is up here, okay, to the ventricle, which is all in this area right here. Okay, so that's a semilunar valve right there. Okay, on the other side, over here. Try.
Hey.
Okay, so we have a bilunar valve, okay, on this heart, which is a good thing. You can come over here, you can stick your finger in it if you want to. And we actually have on this heart right here, we actually have the entrance of the, who will be coming on this side? What's coming in? That is the pulmonary. Exactly. So that'll be the pulmonary vein that's coming into this side. This would be your left side. Okay. So come and look at that valve, guys. Can you come and see the tunnel? Yeah.
Hey,
Just look down.
Mr. Duranko.
Yeah.
What's this one in here?
You got a valve?
Well, I can't.
All 30 of my followers are going to retweet you guys.
Yeah, but it looks like it's cut, eh? Is it? Yeah, it's not bad though. Yeah. No, it's attached. Yeah. Okay, yeah, good. Mr. Krawcheck found one on that one. We're good. What do you guys got?
I'm gonna bite you. Eventually, you're gonna have to cook for yourself, and you might throw a roast in the oven. Right there.
Okay, that's the valve. Yeah. So you can feel the strength of the muscle. The valve is on the inside of the muscle.
So like
I will, but I'm going to show you.
Get your fingers in here. Exactly. Hence the pig hearts, because they're the same size as ours, right? This is a cow. Is a cow? Yeah.
Am I freaking you out or what? Why? I'm gonna move these over here.
Move those guys. Yeah, exactly. You on their phones or something like that?
The computer screen?
Yeah.
It's buffering now. It's solid. Yeah, it's close. I mean, I think I have 2 kids that are here to watch.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, so if you were able, so those valves are really important. So when it comes to the longevity of those valves as well, sometimes there's some where you have issues with your heart valves, especially if you're premature. Those things aren't allowed to develop yet. And once the heart starts pumping, it's not going to stop until you're done. So we want to make sure that those valves are in good working condition. If you do have a valve issue with your heart, they can do surgeries. And what they will do, as Ms. Twami just mentioned there, what was that, your father?
my
In-law, okay, had a valve replacement. So they took a valve out of a pig heart and transplanted it into his heart. And how long ago was that?
Probably about He's been gone for 20 years now, so probably. They did it, and they did it here too, in the hospital here. He didn't have to go away.
Yeah.
So it was open heart surgery, but they do the valve replacement. And it was kind of no big thing at the time.
Yeah. So, and then nowadays, like obviously, medicine keeps getting better and better and better, and those heart valve replacements are lasting quite a bit longer nowadays. Okay. No. Yeah. Should they be?
Well, I guess usually stuff later again. Let's clean the trees.
Oh yeah. Okay. Any questions on valves? Okay. It would have been nice to see a trilunar. It's the one that is on the right side of your heart. Okay, and that the atrium is up here. Okay, on the right side goes into the ventricle on the right side, and then that blood goes to the. And on the left side, the blood returns from the lungs into the top atrium. There's a bilunar valve, and that goes into the left ventricle, which gets pumped to the. By. Did she?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Good job. Okay. So what I'm going to allow you guys to do right now. I have a knife. I have 3 knives up here. Okay. If you guys are interested in, and these weren't perfectly dissected, we can cut. So yours is right in half, but you can quarter it if you want to have a look at that valve. If you want to look at anything inside. Same with you guys. You got the one cut. You can go all the way through if you want to. I would try and cut open the left side ventricle and atrium as well, and have a look at that one. If you guys want to work on this one, okay, the back side, we still have the ventricle intact on this side. The atrium would be up here, but you can cut through there. The valve back on the back side here. You guys want to have a look at that. Have a look at that. Sounds good. Okay, so just quick warning, guys. Quick warning. Coop, before you start getting after it there. Oh, geez. Spicoli. So the blood, there may be some blood in the heart, in the different cavities if you're cutting through. It's coagulated. Don't worry about it. It's not going to spurt out or do any of that kind of stuff. Okay, but it has been sitting for a while. So there might be some bacteria, that kind of stuff. So just don't start chucking it around or any. I'm probably looking at these guys. Okay, don't start chucking things around and doing that type of stuff. Okay, so just make sure that you're not really hacking at it. Just nice, easy, clean cuts, so that we're having a good look at the area. The person who's doing the cutting, okay, the person who is doing the cuts, just note how difficult it is to get through that cardiac muscle. Okay, it is very thick. It is very concentrated, and it's pretty impressive to see the density that it actually has. Okay, go for it, guys.
As you cut, I'm gonna come around and we're gonna get a bowl, throw some oil in there, Montreal steak spice, shake it up. We'll put it in the oven, make a little stir fry.
Heart sandwiches for everybody.
I got some veggies we'll throw in there. Noodles.
If anybody else, else wants to get into it, we've got some smaller trays up here. We have some the veal hearts. If you wanna come and grab one,
you guys want it?
Up for grabs.
I don't.
Caitlin, don't look so comfortable.
I can
She's like so happy.
It's just a few. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, look at it. Goes right back.
Yeah. So you can. You get a little bit of this in here.
See, when you knit, and it kind of almost, close on that one, and it folds over, and you see the atrium, and then it goes ventricle. Yeah, but when it came to the inspector, you just need to cut them open to see if it's hard.
The inspector cut the whole thing, or does he just make that?
No, he peels them open. So
just to see
if I order like the pig hearts, he would have just did a little cut because he knows that they're being used or something else. So you make a cut, he'd look and he'd just inspect. But
he just
when he was going, he's just obviously he just goes through and then he opens it up. Yeah, we're good. There you go.
Probably the fastest way possible.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right?
So, wait till everybody that's
that's a good picture of the septum.
So you were looking at
Cook the turkey and you put your hands
I was going to just bring
in.
pepper grains too. whole ones, chicken livers,
Yeah.
the chicken hearts.
That's better when you get, especially the cow ones. Cow, it's bigger, then they're able to you can see. Yeah.
Go ahead. You can take a tray. Eh?
You want to touch it? Ew, why is it so slimy?
It's no different to me than feeling like a chicken breast.
Exactly.
Well, I don't make chicken. When my neighbors
You don't eat chicken.
my mom makes my chicken.
I know, but have you seen a chicken breast?
I don't
Yeah.
feel it.
God, your life is, you're gonna be, who's gonna take care of you when you,
Well, I haven't had to make it yet.
eventually, I bet you've never made anything to yourself to eat?
Well, yeah, but not chicken.
Chicken or a steak or pork chop?
My dad.
Caitlin, are those good to, once we're done, throw on the barbecue?
Bella, come peel it.
I never, I could give it to my dog though. Oh, I cook it first and just cut it into little pieces.
Bella, look.
My mom makes them like livers and little chicken hearts and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, my aunt's probably.
It's a dog. What do you like? They love meat. What do you-
What's the dog gonna say?
Does anybody else want to? You want to take this? It's just smaller.
Oh.
Grab another tray.
Okay, look at
I'm just glad these don't smell like those gross. That's gross.
You gonna play around with that? This one's a little bigger. Yeah, go and grab a tray. I just don't want to take it out of it.
What do you want to do? You got a cow hair?
Like I've dissected a fetal pig from the
Yeah.
cat.
Cow hair.
Cow hair?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. You sure that's a cow hair?
I don't know, what is it?
Yeah, that's the deal.
That's was that a cat?
Cow hair?
Are you thinking of doing
Sick?
Guys, send some snap tweets out to do.
Well,
not right now.
Yeah, I tried to look
I think I found another one. I found a blonde cow hair too.
So have a look at this one, guys. You can see the opening. Nice. So you can see, you can see so we have the aorta, right? And then we actually have a pulmonary thing there as well. Okay, so you can actually see that where it's coming into, and then so right on top over here would be the atrium and a couple of canals. We can see where the vessels. Hey guys.
Well, that's what he was saying. If you're, when it was together, it would have been easier. But when they cut it in half.
Okay, so we can see.
You might be able to, if you take a
size
smaller one,
the
you might be able to. You might be able to just tuck it together.
No, I don't want to do that.
You might just be able to tuck it together.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
What? No one would do it.
It's not a problem.
You want me to grab it?
Have a look at this one. Turn on, Abby.
They're technically not babies. They're young.
Yes. Cow. You can see the entrance or the.
Oh, this is a good one.
No problem for you?
Oh, no, I just ripped it.
It's just neat. So you can feel if anybody wants to feel the inside. That's that small muscle. Well.
I got another hair.
Am I on?
No. Am I on? Like, what are you gonna do? I gotta be on. Yeah.
I don't know, like a little.
What's up, Mike?
I don't eat fish. What if you like worked in a
Yep.
Well, there's not enough. Yeah, like there's not an abundance of cats around. Like that. Did you do a cat?
Like the one that I did,
What? Yeah.
Yeah. So this basically would be,
Oh, nice cats in here.
no. Is that who we're looking at then?
Yeah.
That's what, see, yeah, Caitlin, that's what she was trying to identify, and I'm like, well, get the smaller one and then, open and close it. Oh,
Oh, let me see if I can do this big one.
There you go.
oh, Caitlin, this is the little cow's hair.
Eyelash.
Look, I can move the blood through the veins.
You know
Yeah,
the one you see on
exactly.
the milk carton?
Now they also, so one more thing as well. If this was
Don't
if
give
this
me
was a
those.
fully functioning
The eyebrow.
heart, right? The color would be a little bit different. You would actually see it would be a lot brighter. Okay, so if you look at the top of the heart on that one right there, that kind of lighter red color, okay, it would be obviously it's going to be innervated with blood. This one's been dead since Tuesday, so that blood is just kind of sit there and coagulate, and it gets darker because there's no oxygen. Bright red blood as compared to the deoxygenated blood that's coming back to the heart, which would be a lot darker. Yeah. Exactly. Careful.
Slimy little bugger.
Don't drop it.
There and there.
Yep.
Actually,
That's development.
Yeah. Yeah, and around there.
Burst through, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
So, Caitlin, am I allowed to bring this little guy over there?
Nope, can't do it.
Not the looks.
As long as you.
What are you trying to do?
Cut the veins.
You can do it.
You can't.
Why?
Because it's scared to squirt on
It's
the
not gonna
face.
spray. What? There's no. They're done. Slaughter the animals. A lot of the blood is already out of them.
This is disgusting. How do I do it? Why is it so thick?
Because cardiac.
I did it.
There you go. You got a little leakage there.
Well, I'll just put that one there.
I might dribble, but it won't spray.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I? From scratch.
Cat.
Cat.
Why? A cat?
Put it
Why?
that
They
there,
kill cats for it?
No,
Yeah.
they get them from a pound in the States after they've passed.
Yeah.
After they passed or after they put them down because there's too many cats. Well, some of them
A
have
little
to
bit
be
of
put
both.
down, like the one that I dissected had a tapeworm in it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yummy.
So I had to start from scratch,
Never, I would just take
skin
my
and all
car
that
and
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I did, oh, Toby.
And we were trying to figure out why our cat didn't have any fat on it.
Exactly. It's
Cut
got a
open the
giant
stomach.
tapeworm.
Oh, there's a tapeworm. Let's see how far it goes.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. Well, that'd be-
We named ours Garfield.
I didn't work
Maybe the
never
butters left
seen
you.
the hog.
Like everybody.
I don't know, it's so
So,
gross.
the go-to.
Yeah,
What?
no, I didn't want to.
Sorry? No,
Yeah, the
they gone.
Like this is looking good.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. What are those ears? So I want to touch this. Like a teacup.
Hey, would that be your, I did that. Yeah. Dissection.
Something.
Yeah. I believe this here. Right there. Yeah.
I never seen them.
And then, so
Other, yeah.
if you had the opportunity to play around with the smaller heart as well, so the baby, calf heart, just notice the difference between the cardiac fat on the larger, the adult cow, as compared to the smaller, the baby cow. Obviously, it hasn't had an opportunity to build a lot of it, but it has the opportunity. It obviously, this heart was a lot more active as compared to those hearts. You don't really see cows running around and training and doing that type of stuff, right? They're just, and that's part of it, because you start doing that, you start getting tougher meat and that kind of stuff, right? So just notice the difference between the different types of heart and the cardiac fat, and just, this is a healthier heart, okay? This is a healthier heart. This is a very active heart. Notice that there's not a ton of cardiac fat on it, and it feels more pliable, as well as it looks cleaner on the inside as well. Okay, as compared to an aged heart that kind of has been kind of just standing around and not doing a ton. Okay.
I'm impressed.
Good.
Oh, the blood. Here.
You what?
I said,
Did you get into Did you get into one of the veins and arteries and stuff? Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic. But this would be a lot healthier than if we looked at like an 80-year-old man's heart or something like that. You know, obviously there might be some blockages in some of those vessels, but we're not allowed to look at those. But it'd be kind of neat to see to compare, right? Yeah, there you go. It's doing all right, eh? Yeah. It is lagging pretty good.
It is lagging, but I have a feeling that's a combination of my computer and the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I got you. True. Are there any questions, guys?
If you still got your gloves on, play around for a little bit. You got a few minutes. It's back.
Robbie's making dinner.
Robbie's making steaks or what?
He added it up.
I put it on the e-learning. Yeah.
We got garbage.
Yeah, well, you know
Do we
what?
have any Lysol wipes or stuff? We got bleach right there, yeah.
What we'll do, I think there's on one of these garbage bags will probably be a garbage bag underneath.
Yeah.
We'll take one of those.
Yeah. We should double bag.
Yeah. I might, maybe I'll take maybe a slab of this.
I know.
Take it.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah. Well, maybe here, that's what I'll do. Here, I'll just take this bag here. Well, I'm gonna take these for myself or my dog.
Hey, don't break that. No one likes a broken heart.
Caitlin, you heard that? You said, did you already say about hearts? Caitlin doesn't have a heart.
Oh, really?
No one likes a broken heart.
Or what?
No one likes a broken heart. It's quite mean to me, but
I don't have one.
it's probably better to go through like that anyway.
Thompson, get studying on. Well, get your hands out of your pants first. Yeah.
Yes, they are. They're on the inside of your body. Are you gonna work out at all ever?
I do.
Where?
I've never seen you there.
Well, I don't go at 5 in the morning. I see you there every morning.
Funny, I didn't see you there this morning.
Well, I was.
Yeah.
Or at home if I choose.
So for the peoples that had the gloves on that were doing some cutting and some manipulation, it'd be a good idea, take the gloves off, but make sure that you're also washing your hands.
So what we're gonna do? If you use a tray or a knife or anything else, can you bring it up here? We have to wash them with bleach.
Yeah.
So,
whose room has dishwasher that has they will rinse them out with bleach, but they have like a disinfectant dishwasher.
oh, do they?
And it's pretty cool.
Okay, so do we?
So we'll do
I
the
need a
knife
bag
trays
for.
that
I need,
we wash.
this is a leak in it.
Yeah, there's soap right there.
Caitlin, did you wash your hands? There's soap. Scott has soap.
We got soap in the back, guys. So.
Diagram, the model box. It's all labeled. You can take the plate off and the heart, or the heart. Oh, sorry, the heart's up here. Is the heart up here? Where's the heart back there? There was a heart. Is it on the bottom shelf? Oh, it's right here, Cooper. It's got all labeled on it and everything. And then we'll dump everything in there? Hey, what's going on? Come up here if you want to see it. What? You could have came around.
I don't want to be that close. Good distance. I'm like,
It's just all, it's been cut up. Never know that's a hurt. No.
I got kind of worried that they were going to be a snow day or something like that today. I'm like, geez, I don't know if those are going to last over the weekend. Right? So.
What? You want to touch it? With gloves? Why, are you afraid of gloves too?
No. Just too lazy.
One thing we don't have is paper. Oh, we do have paper towel over there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I put it in the truck. It's almost like just elastic, but
No,
break away.
my dad was telling me about like the first person he had to cut off when they were dying. He said like his friend had this super funny person, so like all the organs were just sitting there. Actually trying to access the organ, it would take you like 2 hours extra because there's so many layers of fat wrapped around the organ.
Exactly, right? Pork chop?
That was the first time she ever taught him.
So when they make that little cut, are they just seeing if anything comes out?
Yeah.
And then they open the whole thing?
Yeah.
Eating?
Oh, yeah. Oh, way to go.
Nah.
Drop jaw.
So what I'll do is I'll take that bleach and I'll wipe down this counter.
Yeah.
And then these trays.
We didn't do a picture.
No, we didn't.
My heart exercise hands.
Did you use this one?
Yes, they did. They had a little baby heart now.
So, Caitlin, did you give me your tweezers? Yeah. So that's it? There's no other ones?
I think that's it. Those are all.
Okay, so I'm gonna. How should we do this? Should I put another pair of gloves on? Yeah, I'm cleaning down your area here.
I'll go, is there like a custodian room or somewhere close to here? Did they get that disinfectant spray stuff? I'll be right by the office. I'm gonna grab a bottle of that stuff. Mega flash.
You taped it?
We live streamed it.
Did you blow into that?
What?
Did you blow into the lungs?
We didn't have the lungs, we just had hearts.
Oh, that's right.
So he couldn't get the lungs, they threw the lungs out.
Okay.